For MBAs who want to become HR professionals after their program, I think it's very important to understand what the new trends are around the HR, because the profession in itself is changing quite a bit, and there's a lot of knowledge-based industries that are becoming more and more important. And in managing those knowledge resources, having somebody who is very capable in HR is definitely critical. So the practice of HR has changed quite a bit, as have been discussed in several sessions in your forum. And that needs to change with the MBA students that are going to enter, become the eventual leaders in this kind of functional area. So I think there's a lot of exciting things going on when it comes to the industry and how HR is being practiced. And you as MBA students who want to go into it will definitely have a number of opportunities alongside challenges when the landscape starts to change and moves more into that knowledge area or era that we have been talking about. Yes, we've seen a lot of our activities transferred into the virtual space. Practically everything from classes to conferences, and also in doing a lot of the HR tasks, right? Like interviewing and even applying for jobs is now it's become mandatory to actually do it online. In some ways, it's become more efficient because I see professionals, HR professionals now not necessarily wanting the actual paper resumes and having to go through them individually. So you just kind of have a database that you can, search really effectively to find the right fit. But at the same time, it's hard to actually feel the human connection. Even though, like right now, we are indeed face to face. I mean, there are some nuances that get lost when we actually share a physical room, because that's what we've been used to for the longest time, right? But I mean, these are conditions that I think lends itself to what we're going through right now, and we just have to do it. On the flip side, I mean, I'm always kind of like looking at things half full rather than half empty. I think it expands the horizons in terms of looking for the right person for this jobs that we're actually trying to fit. Even though we cannot get them physically into the room with us, we can actually consider them, we can interview them and get a good feel for how they could perform. So, your candidate pool becomes so much bigger, and that, talent that you're looking for could be very well, especially in India, it's such a big country, it could be on the other side of the country, right? So now there are more options. I think that's the good thing with what we've gone through in transitioning to the online. Now people see it as a viable way to actually reach out to people. I mean, there are things that we sacrifice, but are those things, can they be somehow not be as important as, getting, a talented person that you don't get to interview in front of you, right? So there are good things that also would come up, and I think that having more options, especially on the technological space, is something that I see as a good thing, and hopefully we can continue to look at this practice as a potential alternative. When things go back to normal, we don't completely forget it. That this is, it's not a perfect substitute, but it can be an alternative for how we do things, especially in HR. I think not wanting to learn is a very dangerous trait. Not being open to learning. I think thinking that we know everything is something that is very dangerous. And so that eventually leads to other not so good traits like hubris, right? I mean, so you're kind of like thinking, I'm the best, I know everything. Just because you're number one now doesn't mean you will always be number one, right? And I like it when people has this, humility to accept that, hey, I may not know everything, and there's always somebody who could come up and become better than I am. And so they kind of like have this, attitude towards, I need to learn, I need to keep updating my skills, I need to, and encounter or interact with other people with different experiences than I, because there's so much that I have still to learn. And there's like only 24 hours in a day, so you can't pretty much capture everything. So I think one of the most dangerous traits is thinking that you know everything, which is practically very impossible now today. I think I agree with what you're saying. Teamwork is very important, and practically because the problems that we are trying to solve right now as a society is so big, so huge, right? I mean, it's it is what you call very wicked problems nowadays, and not one person can find the solution to those problems. So it's very important to group together, collaborate, be in a team, and recognizing that particular I guess weakness, like we said, that you alone cannot do it. And so that's a very important characteristic for members, because then that makes them very open to work with the team, right? Because you're saying, you know what, I can't do this alone. And that's usually when problems start with teams, because people are thinking, you know what, I don't want to be part of this team, I can do it by myself, right? But if you don't have that attitude, then you're kind of like, okay, I don't like this team member, but I have to work in this team, right? Because I can't do it alone. And so you try to find solutions around how to work as a team. So I think the realization that, hey, you need this team to accomplish what you want to accomplish, and that in itself, I think, makes that team much more capable of working together, because everybody realizes we need this team in order for us to be successful. I tell them, you come into this world with very specific, particular talents and traits. And I try to encourage them to find those talents and traits and harness them, rather than tell them, hey, this apparently this trait is now, the most liked or most needed in this person. But if you don't have it, I mean, rather than tell them you need to develop this, I'm like, it's kind of hard. It takes so much effort to go against what your personality is. So I think I'm more of that, positive psychology that says, hey, you've got your own talents. How are you going to actually use them in what you want to achieve? So I want them to look deep and really understand who they are, what they like to do, right? And keep doing that, and not kind of force themselves in a situation where, oh, I think this job is like, so hot, it's going to earn me this much money. But if you don't have the interest and the skill for that, I mean, why are you forcing yourself in that situation, right? I mean, you're doing this practically every waking hour of the day. So, I'm really sad if people actually do a job where they don't feel like, it's something they want to devote their efforts to. So I say, know yourself, right? And go with that, because, try to discover your passions, and know that you can do things better than, others, and try to develop those skills, rather than trying to fit in and trying to become better at things that that doesn't come naturally to you. So that's what I usually tell my students.